Okay, so have you seen this manipulator before? No, which one this is? It was in your homework, last homework, the first problem, the open manipulator. It has the first joint is the one which does the yaw, theta1, and then it actually has three links there, theta2, theta3, and there's a theta4. I eliminated theta4, so it's not three links, but it's just two links. So this is just actually a two-link planar manipulator. If you look at theta2, theta3, and then add one more link, and it becomes a three-dimensional manipulator. Okay, so what we'll do is we will write the, we don't need to deal with the homogeneous matrix here because I'll show you a geometric approach to computing the inverse. Let me just draw the same manipulator in a slightly different configuration where I actually rotate the manipulator. So let's x, e, y, e, z at x ref, y ref, z ref, right? If they are position, if the end effector is positioned at that reference position, we want to compute what theta1, theta2, and theta3 is. This is the inverse kinematics problem. Okay, now what makes it slightly hard is that the manipulator is not planar. You could use trig here. How can you use trig for something like this? It turns out that in the geometric approach, what you can do is you can try to think of how do you solve for the inverse kinematics in different planes, and that actually can help you or lead you to the inverse. And so what I'm going to show you is purely by, it's like a method which works for some cases because of the construction, but it is not guaranteed to work for any general manipulator. That's why it is not general but special, and I'll show you a generic way of solving the inverse kinematics a bit later. Okay, so that's the problem. So what we'll do here is we'll actually compute theta1, theta2, theta3 in steps. So first, we can actually compute theta1 quite easily, as I'll show you. So let's compute theta1 first. So computing, so it'll need some visualization and some drawing, and it'll actually give us all these angles. So theta1. Okay, now we have x1, which is at an angle theta1. Okay, and then the manipulator is, we revert something like this. Okay, it doesn't really matter here, as you see, but the point is that the manipulator, at least this part, the final two links are going to be in the z0, x0 plane. So this part is in z0, x1 plane, right? Because it's, after all, a planar manipulator going from link 2 and link 3. It's only the link 1, which is this one, which gives it the three-dimensional link. So let's say that we actually are able to place this manipulator at the reference x ref, y ref, z ref. Okay, so if that's the case, then we can do this simple construction, as I'll show you. We can, I'm just going to connect the final position to the origin. And I'm going to drop a perpendicular to the x1 plane. And I need to show y0, otherwise this will be hard to visualize. Okay, so this distance is x ref. Right. And then this distance is y ref. Do you agree? Because after all, that's the position of the end effector, assuming that I've actually got it to the point where it should be. And then this distance, if you would like to fully finish it off, this is going to be zref. And that's the definition of the distance of the position from the origin. Okay, now from this figure, we can do something neat. So if you have, this is theta 1. So I'm just going to draw a view of this from the top. So as you see it from here, so if you are looking at it from this way, from that's the top view, you would see this to be something like this: x0, y0, x1. We don't need this, but it's going to be right angles. So this angle is theta 1. This is y ref. This is x ref. This is that point. Same point, but we are looking at the top view. And it's easy to see that now, if you want to compute theta 1, it's simply tan inverse of y ref divided by x ref. Okay, so pretty straightforward. But you need to think of it this way, that the end effect is already there, and now do the projections and get it. Okay, so that solves for one of the three constants. Let's solve for the other angles, theta 2 and theta 3. So I need to do a little bit more construction for that. But the fact is that I've got theta 1 out of my way, which is the non-planar component, right? Theta 2 and theta 3 in the planes. I don't need to really draw theta 1 anymore. I just have to focus on theta 2 and theta 3. That's what I'll do. So next, what I'll do is, let me just take this figure. It'll help us. So here what I'll do is I'll only focus on this part, x1. This is still z0. And I want to focus only on this part of the figure. Just this much. Okay, that is going to be planar. It's along the z0, x1. So I'm going to redraw just that part. Z0. So it's going to be along x1, not x0, because I actually turned it by an angle of theta 1. Okay, let's draw the manipulator. Okay, and a few things over here. First of all, this point, as you can see, it's going to be at a distance of L1. Right, so this starts at L1, sorry, 0, L1. X is still 0, but the y coordinate, or in this case, the y is actually the z, is L1. Okay, let's draw theta 1, theta 2, sorry, and then theta 3. This is my end effector, and let me just show you the coordinates. Okay, so this distance, okay, now this is the distance from top end effector to this point, okay, not the bottom. So this is going to be the z distance, z ref, but minus L1, right? Because we just have L1. So, and then the horizontal distance, that is, we need to compute this distance, is essentially, in this figure, it's going to be this distance or this distance. So you can see that this distance, that is the distance along the x1, is going to be square root of x ref square plus square root of square root of x ref square plus y ref square, right? Or you can see it's also from here. X ref, y ref is this and this distance, so that distance is going to be by what do you call it? Pythagoras theorem, x ref square plus y ref square. So this is x ref square plus y ref square square root. Okay, I just did this because now we can just deal with this two-dimensional problem. We don't have to deal with the three-dimensional problem. Okay, so with this, so now at this point, you could actually take the solution from the previous case, right? So we remember we solved for, I think I reduced it to a two-link manipulator eventually. Is that the one now? Let's see. Yeah, so here, somewhere here, yeah, I actually reduced it to a two-link manipulator with theta 1, theta 2. Here will be theta 2, theta 3. So you could use this solution, which I got earlier, for this case, and you would be right. But I'll show you another way of doing it just by using geometry. This is trigonometry. So let's do this in another way. You could also do it with the algebraic approach. Once you simplify it to this, let's take this because I'll write equations. Copy. Okay, so here specifically I'll solve for theta 3 first. Okay, so for that I'll need to look at this triangle here. Okay, this side is L2, this side is L3. This angle is going to be pi minus theta 3. And then this, let's call this length L, it's unknown. Okay, so we can see, if you remember, there's something called cosine rule in a triangle. The cosine rule states that L square equals L2 square plus L3 square minus 2 L2 L3 cosine of pi minus theta 3. So it just basically relates the sides with the angle, this angle, which is opposite to L. So yeah, so here there are two unknowns actually. One unknown is theta 3, the other unknown is L. We know the other things, right? But it turns out that we can compute L. L square is nothing but, you can see that L square is the distance of this point from the origin. It's square root z ref minus L1 square plus x ref square plus y ref square. So it's the square of these two. Okay, so now L is known. We only have to compute theta 3. So you can now compute theta 3. It's going to be cosine inverse L square minus L2 square minus L3 square divided by 2 L2 L3, where L is given up, and then the only unknown is theta 3. So this is how you can compute theta 3. Okay, just using the cosine rule. I'll reference this so you can, if you want, search for this yourself. Cosine rule. Compute theta 2. How can I do that? Well, everything is in this triangle. If I can compute this alpha, think I could compute theta 2. Let me just do it this way. L sine theta 2 plus alpha is z ref minus L1, right? So L sine of this whole angle is this. That's what I'm doing here. So here, in this case, L is known. I just computed it earlier. It's basically this square plus this square. Z ref is known, given to us. L1 is given to us. Here there are two unknowns. So I need to solve for one of the two. Actually, you kind of know what alpha is because the angles of a well, you don't know. Sorry, my bad. You don't know alpha because if L2 is not equal to L3, you don't know what alpha is. If L2 was equal to L3, then it is pretty easy to compute alpha because then the same alpha over here because then it's a isosceles triangle. So in this case, I need to compute alpha, and I can use what is known as the sine rule to compute alpha. So the sine rule states that L divided by the angle opposite the side L, so pi minus theta 3 equals L3 divided by the sine of the angle opposite it, so sine alpha. So alpha equals sine inverse L3 sine theta 3 divided by L. And so once I get this alpha, it should go in here. And once it goes here, I can compute theta 2 as C ref minus L1. Sorry, it'll be minus alpha plus sine inverse C ref minus L1 divided by. So to just make it linear for you when you read this, and then you have, or rather here, this is called a sine rule. And then this thing is a different expression. This is just from trig. Okay, I've not implemented this, but it's worth implementing. Now that you have that open manipulator, which I think was one of the homeworks, I think it was the last homework, you can actually do it using analytical inverse. And is the Piper's solution. This one is usually it's for a 6 degree of freedom manipulator. And it's only when 3 consecutive axes intersect. So when 3 axes intersect, it turns out that you can solve for the orientation using an analytical inverse, and then for the position using another inverse. Why you are interested in these solutions is because in the industry, when you're trying, or in application, we're trying to make these manipulators pick things up. You want these solutions to be outproduced very, very quickly. And the way you can get them very quickly is through analytical methods, not a numerical method. And I'll talk about numerical method next. And that's why you're interested in that. If you go to, if you just search for UR5 analytical solution, there's actually an analytical solution for the inverse kinematics for a UR5, which you can search for. I'm going to show you another way of computing the